I know I usually tend to start my reviews with like a joke or some kind of lighthearted reference to the movie, but that really just doesn't feel appropriate for this one. I started my YouTube channel up again only this year, so I never really got a chance to publicly say that I really friggin' miss Chadwick Boseman. Obviously I didn't know the guy, but he was such a hell of a talent, even before he was Black Panther. I remember going to the theaters to see him in 42 and then Get On Up and just being mesmerized by his performance. Not to mention that he was a really great guy with a loving family, and he dedicated his soul to everything. So it really sucks that this terrible disease took him when he was so young and had so much left to give. Rest in peace, Chadwick. You were a king well before Marvel got a hold of you. Let's get to my review of Black Panther. Wakanda forever! Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to be reviewing Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Before we get started, you know exactly what to do. Please scroll down, subscribe, ring that bell so that you get notified whenever I post. I usually post one review a week and a short or two as well, so make sure you ring the bell so that you never miss any of that content. And let's get into it. I'm not really going to get too much into the plot because I don't really know what the hell you can say about Marvel movies nowadays. It's not a spoiler. But I will say that Black Panther Wakanda Forever takes place about 1 year after T'Challa's death from a mysterious illness that he kept secret, which of course parallels what happened in real life. Wakanda's been picking up the pieces and trying to move on in their own way when suddenly they come face to face with the underground city of Talokan and Namor, played by Tena Huerta, a terrifying mutant. And yes, he is a mutant. He calls himself that in the movie, which is really exciting because, you know, we're getting that much closer to X-Men in the MCU. Anyways, Namor and his soldiers from Talokan basically want to wage a full-out war against the surface, and they want Wakanda for their allies. But if you've seen the trailer, you probably know that Wakanda and Namor are probably going to butt heads and maybe not have the alliance that Namor thinks.
His people did not call him general or king. They called him Kukulkan, the feather serpent god.
So that's pretty much the plot of the movie. Well, and then you have the other half of it, which is being an incredibly moving tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And honestly, the film works the best when it's doing that, especially the opening scene and the ending. The opening scene caught me off guard and was so powerful before the Marvel credits even began, and when the Marvel Studios logo rolled and it was all replaced with pictures of Chadwick Boseman and it was just a moment of silence, it was very emotional and there wasn't a single sound in that full theater. And for the most part, that sticks through the whole movie. This is definitely probably the most serious movie we've seen in Phase 4. Spider-Man No Way Home got pretty serious, but even that had a lot of comedy in it. This is a Marvel movie, a superhero movie telling a mature story through and through, with some comedy here and there like you'd expect, but it's not the emphasis of the movie like with something like Thor: Love and Thunder.
Eat my hammer!
And with that comes some seriously fantastic and emotional performances from everyone on board. Seriously, I couldn't even pick a standout. Between Shuri's Letitia Wright, Ramonda's Angela Bassett, Okoye's Danai Gurira, Nakia's Lupita Nyong'o, everyone gives an incredibly raw, real, and grief-stricken performance that were clearly very cathartic for everybody involved. And each scene with the characters reminiscing and discussing T'Challa and grieving about him really are the best parts of the film. That being said though, the rest of the film is pretty damn strong too. If No Way Home wasn't so great and I wasn't so biased towards that movie, I would say that this is the best movie that Marvel's put out in Phase 4. This is Shuri's film. This is her arc. You know from the trailer that she becomes the new Black Panther, so I'm just gonna say that. This movie is about her dealing with her grief and becoming the next Black Panther, and they told that story beautifully. Her arc is very emotional and resonant and actually has a lot of parallels with T'Challa's arcs that he had in his films. And Letitia Wright gives an amazing performance. And I also loved something that the film brought up too, which was her and her scientific mind conflicting with her spiritualism and all Wakandan tradition. That was a pretty cool plot point that the movie honestly dived pretty deep into. I know I mentioned Namor already, played by Tena Huerta, but he is just done so well. I know they made some changes from the comics, but I don't know him from the comics very well. I haven't really read that many comics outside of Spider-Man, if I'm being honest. So from what we got on screen, I really f***ing loved it, honestly. He could have looked completely stupid, but he looks like a badass, and he's actually pretty scary in his early scenes. Tena Huerta did an amazing job portraying this character who has an understandable rage, but still has a compassion for his people and respect for politics and the throne of Wakanda, even though he's a straight-up villain. Talokan, like I mentioned earlier, not Atlantis, Namor's original home, which they had to change to separate it from a certain franchise that made a shit ton of money and has a sequel coming out soon, is absolutely beautiful, with a rich lore and history that's visually portrayed with an effective mix of practical sets and CGI, and a lot of the underwater scenes are miles above what we got in the first Aquaman. Riri Williams has also done pretty well. I mean, it's kind of obvious that she was shoehorned into the plot to tease Ironheart, but Dominic Thorne gives a really good performance, and it left me excited for her show, which if you would have asked me before I saw that movie, I couldn't have cared less. We got some hints of her backstory and a little bit of information about her character, and though she doesn't have that much of an arc here, she's a fun new addition, has a badass suit, and it allows the film to parallel a lot of early Iron Man stuff, which is pretty cool to see. I'll also say that the movie has truly jaw-dropping action. The action scenes here are great, and the CGI is really strong throughout. There's only a few instances that I can think of where the CGI wasn't really that great and it was pretty noticeable, but there's nothing quite like the horrible rhinos from that first movie or the PlayStation 2 Black Panther fight. The score is amazing too. Ludwig Göransson returned and he introduces a lot of like Mayan instruments and interesting noises and African tribal sounds like the first movie, along with some repeated vocals and I think some new vocals for the movie with the new Black Panther theme. And it was all amazing. I downloaded that soundtrack the second I got out of that damn movie.
And we're so excited to be able to create a complete unique sound, immersive experience with both songs and score.
And if there's one more positive I can say, it's that in a movie full of standouts, my favorite character from the first film, M'Baku, played by Winston Duke, is still one of the best side characters in the MCU and still gets some of the best lines. But he actually has a few emotional parts here, which I really enjoyed too. I was worried that he was still going to be comic relief in such a serious and heavy movie, and he does have a few scenes to really flex Winston Duke's emotional chops, which I seriously appreciate. I also wanted to add too that Angela Bassett deserves a Oscar nomination for this film.
I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone!
Now that I've said all I can say about this fantastic movie, I'm gonna get into my few small complaints here. Number one, the movie is 2 hours and 45 minutes. I started to feel it just a little bit in the middle, but I'm kind of used to the longer movies at this point, so it didn't bother me all that much, but just be prepared going into it. Also, Everett Ross, played by Martin Freeman, is back again, and he is definitely shoehorned into this plot, even more so than Riri Williams, honestly. I know he was in the first movie, but he really has minimal to do in the plot and minimal interaction with the Wakandans. He spends the entire time in the US. And there's another character that spends a lot of time with him, who I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it, but they were also very clearly there just to hint at future MCU projects. And the more those scenes went on, the more I started to notice the runtime a bit. And my other complaint is about the climax, which really sucks because this is a great MCU movie. But the climax is divided into two parts, and one of them follows that annoying, played-out formula that we know so much, and the other one was actually pretty strong. With Wakanda versus not Atlantis, Talokan, and the new Black Panther versus Namor. Wakanda versus Talokan borders on kind of dumb, and it really felt like it indulged in that typical CGI-heavy final act battle that so many Marvel movies have that many of us are tired of at this point. I love the Namor versus Black Panther fight, and if that would have been all the climax was, I would have been fine with that. But if they had to have that other battle, I wish they would have shaken things up a little bit, just to make it a little more interesting. Because like I've said several times in this video, this is a league above so many other Marvel films, especially most of what we've gotten in Phase 4. So I definitely recommend Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And with the amazing visuals in this film, you should definitely try to see it in IMAX or Dolby or RPX or whatever your premium showing is. I only got to see it in regular, and I still had a blast with it, but I wish I would have gotten to see it in one of those. But as it stands, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is truly an above-average Marvel film when it's telling its story, but when it's tributing Chadwick Boseman, it really becomes an emotional, moving piece. Especially the ending and the credits scene. I don't think there was a dry eye in the entire theater. I cried so much in that damn movie, I had a headache the entire drive home. Definitely one of the best Marvel projects in a while. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Anthony from Awesome Anthony Productions, and if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and scroll down, leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you never miss any of my content. You can also comment below, let me know what you thought of the video, or if you saw Black Panther, let me know what you thought of the movie. You can also find the links to my Instagram and my TikTok in the description below. And while you're at it, you can click or tap on these cards here. They'll take you to my last review of Wendell and Wild, or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, shorts, or my old shit. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Wakanda forever. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. And I'll see y'all later.